Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Code for Tech Solutions. Today in this video, you will learn how to build a Python Flask REST API with MySQL in 2025. In this tutorial, we will cover the step-by-step process of creating a RESTful API using Flask, which is a popular Python web framework, and MySQL, which is a widely used relational database system. You will also learn how to design and implement API endpoints, handle HTTP requests and responses, and interact with MySQL database to store and retrieve data. By the end of this video, you will have a fully functional Flask REST API with MySQL integration. Whether you are a beginner or experienced developers, this tutorial is going to be very helpful for both in building RESTful API with Flask and MySQL. So let us get started and build this powerful Python REST API today. These are some prerequisites we need to be ready with to create this Flask application. First, we need to install Python on our system. Next, we need to install Flask, which is a lightweight and powerful web framework for building Python web applications. Next, we need to install Flask-Restful, which is an extension for Flask that simplifies the process of building REST APIs. And next, we are going to install Flask SQL Alchemy. It's again an Flask extension, which is an ORM, which will help to interact with our databases. And finally, we will install our PyMySQL, which is a MySQL driver. Our SQL Alchemy will use this MySQL driver to connect with our MySQL database. This is about all the prerequisites we need to be ready with to create this Flask application. Now, if you are enjoying the content, and don't forget to hit that like button to stay updated and share this video with your friends, and also drop the comment below to let me know your thoughts and if you have any questions. Now let us create our backend application. So this is the project folder. So we can open the command prompt, and from here we can use this command to open the Visual Studio Code instance. Now this is our VS Code instance. First thing we can do, like we can create our virtual environment. For that we can use this command, and you can see this virtual environment is created, and here these are some subfolders like include lib and script. What all dependencies and libraries we install, that will go inside this lib folder. Now once the virtual environment is created, we need to activate that. So first we need to go to virtual environment folder. Next we need to go inside scripts, and here we can use this activate command. This is for Windows operating system. If you are using the Mac or Linux, there is a slight different commands. So you can see the virtual environment prompt is appearing. That means it is activated. Now next thing we can do, like we need to install the dependencies. For that we can use this pip command and install. We can first install the Flask RESTful Flask SQL Alchemy, and there is a MySQL driver which is PyMySQL. So these many dependencies we need to install. Now this is the Flask. Flask is a library or extension, and this is again like extension for Flask, which is Flask hyphen RESTful. Some developers use like Flask underscore RESTful. So you can use this Flask hyphen RESTful, which is a valid library. If you want to cross check, so you can use the command, like let us open this, and here we can use and here we can search for this is the official Python official Python website, wherein we can search for the packages. Like let's say we can search for Flask hyphen RESTful, and it will show the results which are available. If we search for Flask underscore RESTful, it will not show any result. Okay, so now the existed package is Flask hyphen RESTful. We need to use that. Now with this command it will install all the libraries or dependencies which is there. You can cross check inside this lib folder once it is installed, or you can use the pip list command and it will show all the libraries which we have just installed. This is the Flask RESTful, and all these things are installed as expected. Next thing we can do, like we can create our requirement.txt file, so that if we want to reinstall these packages, like so we can simply reinstall it from requirement.txt file. So this is the command with which we can uh, list out all the dependencies inside this requirement.txt file. Now you can see it has created requirement.txt file, and these all dependencies it will include. Now if we want to reinstall it from this requirement.txt, we can simply use this command, like pip install -r, and here we can use this requirement.txt file. With this command it will reinstall all the packages if you want to like reinstall on another system or some for recreation of the application. So this is about like we have created virtual environment successfully, and requirement.txt file. We need to create one more file here, like that is for git ignore. It will list all the files which we don't want to commit on like GitHub or any other repository. So here we can mention what all things we don't want to commit, like this is the virtual environment folder which is not needed to be committed, and we can save it. Now next thing we need to configure the database. So for that, first we need to create our database. So let us create that. So we can use exam control panel, and here we can see like here our Apache server is running, so and MySQL is running. Now let me stop it, and I will start it again. First we need to start Apache server. Like next we can start our MySQL, and you can check once it is running, then we can click on this admin button, so that it will open the PHP myadmin interface. Now here we need to enter the username and password, whatever you have set. After that it will show us the user interface like this one. These are some existing databases on MySQL side. You can either use PHP myadmin or MySQL workbench, either will do fine. Now here we can create our database. Now you can click on new, and here it will show us the option, like ours is a book underscore master we can create, and we can see it has created our database successfully. Now let us go back to our application, and here we can define the structure of our application. Like we have already created the virtual environment, git ignore file, and requirement.txt. Next we can create app.python file, and we can create one more file, like that is config.py file. This config.py is to configure our database related stuff inside this one. Now let us configure our MySQL database. We can use this import this package which is OS. Now this OS module in Python allows us to interact with the operating system and perform various operations like file handling, environment variable management, and process control. Now here we can mention our MySQL database configuration. So first thing we can mention MySQL host. Let's say it's a local host. Next we can use MySQL user, and you can use what username and password you have set. Next we can mention password. Next we can mention port name, like we can check what is our port name. This is 3307. Now next thing, like we can mention what is our database, and we have just created our book underscore master. We can mention that. Next thing, like we need to mention MySQL, and this is cursor class. For that we can use, like this is dict cursor. Dict cursor is a dictionary type, like it's a class. This class is a configuration setting in in Flask MySQL that defines the type of cursor. By default, MySQL cursor returns the tuples, but with this class, we can change this behavior to return the results as a dictionary instead of tuples. We can save it. Now next thing, like we need to add some Flask configuration, so we can do this. Now here we can add some secret key, and here we can use like os dot random, and this is the somewhere 24. Now what is the secret key? Like it will generate a random 24 byte string, which we can use as a cryptographic key. Now Flask uses this secret key to secure our session cookies and cryptographic operations. Now with this we are done with our database configuration. Now next thing what we can do, like let us like build our Flask application inside this app.python file. So first thing, we can install our Flask. We can import it like Flask. Next we are going to use request and JSONify. So this JSONify we are going to use to convert our dictionaries, like results are in dictionary. So to convert those dictionary result into the JSON response, we can use this JSONify. Next thing, like we can use Flask RESTful. We can import from this, like first is a resource, next is a API. Now next we can use Flask SQL alchemy, and we can import SQL alchemy. And one more thing, we need to import our config which we have just set for MySQL database. Now here we can create one app constant for Flask, and here we can mention name. Now we need to define one API, and for that we are going to use this API, and we can pass our application. Now next thing, we need to configure our MySQL database. So for that we can define, like we can mention call app.config, and inside that we can mention SQL alchemy, like database URL underscore database URI, and for this we can prepare, like first we can use, this is like MySQL plus this is MySQL driver PyMySQL. Now next, like we are going to add colon and double slash. After that we are going to add, this is our config dot MySQL user. Next we can add colon, again like config config dot we can use MySQL password. After password we can add @ and after that we can use like config dot MySQL host, and after host we need to add port. We can use config dot MySQL port we can use, and after that we can use slash config dot our database we need to mention. So this is the complete URI we need to form first, and this is the app.config SQL alchemy database URI. Make sure there is not any spelling mistake or else it will not work. Fine. Next, like we can use app.config like, and here we can pass our we can use like SQL alchemy, and we can say it's a track modifications, and here we can say it's a false. Next thing, like we can use db database constant db, and we can use SQL alchemy, and here we can pass our app. So we have configured our MySQL database successfully inside our Python application, and this is the URI we are going to form, and this is the modification tracking. We made it false, and this is our DB. Now next thing we can define like so with this we are done with our configuration. Next, like we need to create our model. So for that what we can do, like we can like let us define some model, and here we can create one class with name book, and here we can say it's a db.model. Here we need to mention what all properties we are going to use, like db.column we are going to use, and here we can mention it's a db.integer. Next, like it's a primary key which is true. So this is for integer, we can copy it. Similar way we can mention next is for title, and here we can use for title is a string. Here we can define some length, let's say 200, and we can say it's nullable as a false. So this is for title, we can copy it, and we can repeat for author, and finally it's a price, and for price we can use that's an integer, no need to define length, and this is not needed. Fine. So we have required fields we have set. Now let us create one and define like two JSON, and here we can pass self object which will like return, we can say id self.id, next title, and its author, it's a price. That's it. So this object it will return in the JSON format. Next thing, like we can create our tables. So we can write this code to create table, and here we can use like with app dot app contest. We can use db dot create all, and this method will create the required tables, and this will get run only once. Now let us create our APIs part. So for that, first we can use like this is for get all books. We can create one class, and we can use like it's a book resource. We can add the resource, and we can define the method like it's a get. For this it will return all the books. We can create one constant to hold all the books, and we can use book dot, we can use query dot all, so it will return all the books. Now next thing, like we need to return our JSONify, and here we are going to return the, like for each book we need to convert it to the JSON, and here we need to, this is for each book inside our books. So this books is a list of books which is at here. Now for each book we are converting each book to the JSON format. That's it about this return type. Now this is about get all books. Similar way we can add get a particular book. Now we can copy this part or this much. Here we can say get a single book, and for this all books we can say books resources, and here we can say book resource. Here we are simply returning a single resource, and here like we need to add id as well along with this book. Now here for this id we are going to get one book on book, like we can use query dot, we can call get, and here we can pass this id so that it will retrieve the particular book object. Next we need to check like if the book existed, or if we get the particular book for the given id. In that case we are going to return like a JSONify, and we are going to return actually object which is book dot to JSON. We need to convert it to the JSON before we send it. In case the book is not existed, so we need to return some message, and here we can say book not found for this particular id, and here we need to send one code which is 404, and we can save it. So this is for getting a single book. Similar way we can add one post method which will post our data into the, or which will create a new book or add a new book to the database. So we can say it is for create a book, create a new book, create book resource, and this is the resource, and here id is not needed. Now here we need to first extract the request body from our request using this getJSON method. Like next we need to check if data dot we are going to check some validations, like all the required fields should be there, like it should have title, and If any of these is not there, it should return that these are the required fields, like author is again required. So either of these two is not there, we need to return some proper message like title and author are required. And after this, like we can set some code, let's say 400. If everything is valid, in that case we need to create one new book, and for that we can use like this book we need to prepare. And here we can say for title we can take the data and it's a title. Similar way for like author, we can take data author, and for price this is the price. Okay, so we have created one new book based on what all request data we have received for title, author and price. Now next thing, like we need to add it to our existing session, so we can use like db.session. On that we can use add, and here we are going to add this new book. With this it will create a new book. Now one more thing we need to do, like we need to commit this so that it will be permanently added into the database. Finally we are going to return some JSONify response, and here we are going to set some message like book created successfully. And here we need to mention what is the book. For that we are going to use like it's a new book dot, we are going to use this to JSON so that it will print this book. Now we are done with our creating a new book. Here we need to make sure we are using the post method, not get method. Resource, now we are done with our create book resource. Now similar way we can use our post method. So for that let us create one similar way we can use our update method. For that we need to use some this is the update book, and here we can use update book resource, and here we need to use either put or patch method we can use for update. We need to pass the ID as well, and after that like we need to get the data for this. Like we can copy this for the given ID. We need to take the ID first, get the book object, and here we can check if not book is not there. In that case we are going to return some message like we can copy this and add it here like book not found 404. If that is not there, or if book is existed, we are going to take the data from our request. Next thing, like we can use like let's say book dot title, and we are going to set data dot get, and here we can use title, and we can use book dot title. Similar way we can copy for author. and one more like this is for price. Now finally we have set all the modified data. What we have done here, we have retrieved the book for this ID from the database. Next thing, like we have collected modified data from the request, and we have set the modified data to the existing book object. Now we need to add this book object or commit this into our session. Now we can use db.session and we can say it's a commit, and after that we can use, like we can copy this and we can use this like book updated successfully. This is the message we are going to pass, and here we can use this book object and we can save it. Now this is for updation. Like similar way we can use our delete method. So for that, here we can create one more like delete book resource, and here we can use the appropriate delete method. And for deleting, like we can get the book object first and we can check if book object is existed or not, and after that So with this with this section we have added all the resources and with mapped with all the endpoints like CRUD operations like get all books, get a particular book, create book, update book and delete book. Now here we have added run Flask app, and this is our like we are checking for main and app.run we are calling, and this is a debug is equal to true. As we are in the development mode we are using this, but make sure that in production you are not going to use this. This is just for showing the error messages and all. It will help us in development mode, but for production we are not going to use this. With this we are done with all our development. Now let us run our application. Make sure you have saved it. Fine. Now let us see how it goes. Like we can run our application using command python app.py. Now we can see our application is running on this host name and port name. This is the URL we can click on, and here we can use our endpoints. Like to get all books we can use this books, and here we can add books. Okay, so let us use our postman so that it will look good. Now we can copy this. You can set this JSON and we can set. Now this is the get API we are going to use, the HTTP method, and it is showing the empty list, which is as expected because we have not added any record as of now. Let us copy this and let us add one entry by using the post method. Here we can use HTTP post method, and here we need to use create endpoint. For that we need to add the body part because we are going to create one new record, and here we can add one title. For the title we can add like let's say it's you can win. We can add author name, let's say it's Shiv Khera, and finally we can add some price, and we can mention some price, let's say it's 500 somewhere. Let us see by sending it. Yes, we can see one record is successfully created with this all the entries, and this is the ID 1. Now let us add one couple of records, and we can check for update and delete part. Like we can add modi, like tick, and here the author is like Herman, and price let's say somewhere 750, and let us add it. Now we can see second record is added successfully. Let us add one more record like the Lord of the Rings, and the author is J.R.R. Tolkien's, and here price we can say somewhere 1000, and we can see we have added successfully 3 records. Now let us go back to get method and check whether it is showing all the 3 records. Seems good. Now it is reflecting. Now let us go back to our database and check how it looks. So this is our database, and here if we need to refresh this, and this is our book master. Seems good. Now we have book table along with all these columns like author ID, price and title. Now we can click on this book and it will show all the records. These are the 3 records which we have just created. Now let us try with our update method. Like here instead of post, like let us try by accessing one get record. Like we can use get, and for book let's say we want to access third record, and it will show the third record. Now if you want to update this, we can use put, and we can modify this record. Now here instead of this author we can use our author, like we can say Jane Austen, and price we can say 850 somewhere, and the title of the book is the Pride and Prejudice. And let us send. It should update the record, or which is of third. For update we need to use update, because that is what we have mentioned in our app resources, API resources. Like this is the update. After that we are passing ID. Now let us check how it goes. Seems good, it has successfully updated the third record. Now let us go back to our get API and check. Now the third record is successfully updated. Now finally we can delete the record and check how it goes. So this is the put method. Instead of put we can use delete, and here we are passing ID anyway. Now we don't need to pass the body, and here instead of update we can use delete, and we can send. Now you can see book deleted successfully. Now if we go back and call the get method, it should show only two records, because third record we have just deleted. And let us go to our database and see. By refreshing, it should show only two records. Seems good, it is showing. So with this we are done with all our CRUD operations. We have successfully created our build our application with REST API using Flask, Python, and we have tested it through Postman. I hope you must have enjoyed this, and please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for watching this.